Oh, yeah, sure. So, hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm not on camera right now. So, we are very much part of Garje Marathi. So, thank you, everybody, for being here. We are essentially AI people who have been very much working in AI. Most of us are in the Bay Area, and then we have this huge network and circle of other professionals, other students who are interested in the field of AI. We as an organization, we have our four flagship events. One is essentially this fireside chat ideas to innovation series, where we host experts like Professor Raskar today to help us enlighten on the next big thing in AI. Then we are planning to have these fireside chats every quarter or so. Our next event is essentially called Summer of Code, where we try to connect graduate students to businesses who are in need of solving a real world problem, and this helps the graduate students who have not been able to secure internships in summer. So our tech AI experts with the business mentors within the Garje community, or the businesses themselves who kind of give the problem statements, they collaborate for a good 2 to 3 months during summer, and then the outcome essentially is a solution to a startup's problem that they have put together. So we did that last year. Today, in this year as well, we are finding a good success where we have two or three businesses who have already volunteered to give us a problem statement, as well as we have graduate students who we are connecting to the businesses as well. So if any of you out there are a graduate student, undergraduate student based in the US for now, and then if you're a business based anywhere, right, and trying to solve something using AI, reach out to me or reach out to Anand Ganu Kaka, and then we can kind of loop you in. Our third flagship event is a hackathon, essentially, where we are trying to again get professionals and students alike to build something. We usually have it end of the year, but we have a great collaboration that came up with Hexaware, which is one of the leaders in AI, as well as the tech. So they are collaborating with Replit, which is the no-code tool and software, along with Mai and Garje Marathi. We are planning to have a hackathon for graduate and undergraduate students on June 22nd, which is a Sunday, in the Bay Area. And the winners, Hexaware essentially is the main sponsor or the main lead for this event, and then essentially the top 2 or 3 winners will get an internship opportunity at Hexaware this summer. So again, if you are interested in that, watch out for our announcement and the links to register probably in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, our main event, or our main collaboration as such, why we started my, is essentially for education. So we as a group try to have courses, boot camps for 101 of AI, more the next level of courses to educate whoever needs to, wants to, or wants to understand more about AI in the field. So we have been trying to get everybody together. Again, those events, please watch out for our next events in those fields on our website. So I will put our website link on the chat here. But with that, I'll hand it back to Anand, uh, and then we can get going. Anand, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You just need to be louder, Anand. We can hear you. You just
Okay,
need to be
yeah,
louder.
sure. All right. Hey, so I'm back. Unfortunately, I'm having some IT trouble. This is the usual network that I use all the time. So that goes to show no matter how intelligent you become, you still confront problems that have been there. So that's a challenge we have to solve as a community, I guess, to overcome. But why don't I pass it over to today's speaker, Ramesh Raskar, who needs no introduction. And the topic for today is NANDA, network agents and decentralized AI. It's a very powerful vision. A lot of good stuff coming out of MIT. So why don't I pass it over to Ramesh and we'll have a presentation followed by question and answer, followed by anything that audience might want to ask. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. After the presentation, we'll be going through. So Ramesh, over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Garje Marathi, and thank you, Anand Joshi and Ganuji for inviting me. It's a very fast-moving topic. So I thought we could get some really excited, dynamic, and leaders on this Garje Marathi community to see how they can participate in this movement, which is and the idea here is the difference between AI and network AI. So NANDA stands for Network AI Agents in Decentralized Architecture, and also name of my sister. I'm Ramesh Raskar, professor at MIT. And the question one should really ask is, what is a bigger deal from the 80s and 90s? Is it the PC or the fact that we connected those PCs and became the internet? And the same thing today, is it the AI or the network of those AIs? And within that, we're going through these 4 phases. We moved from kind of the mainframe mental model of AI, where you have DOS-like commands, and you send a command line interface to ChatGPT, and you get some responses, to we are moving to the intranet of AI, where the agents are working in trusted known topology, usually within enterprise frameworks. From there, we're going to move to the internet of AI, where these AI agents have to navigate and roam around in trustless environments. And then Tim Berners-Lee, right here at MIT, said internet is great for connecting machines, but what if you have to connect people and businesses? And that's the World Wide Web, And so NANDA is equivalent of that, Web of Internet of Agents. AI agents, and that's network AI agents in decentralized architecture. And just as Tim Berners-Lee said, okay, we need HTTP, HTML, URL, ICANN, DNS, all these things. We also need, similar, we have to reinvent that architecture for AI agents. So I want you to imagine billions, maybe trillions of AI agents. Every one of us is going to have an agent. Every soul, so that itself is 8 billion. But much more than that, because each of us will have many agents. And they're going to communicate, navigate, socialize, learn, and earn. And many of you are familiar with the DPI framework in India, Digital Public Infrastructure, which gave us Aadhaar and UPI. And what I would like to brainstorm with this group is what would the DPI would look like when you have billions of agents. Everybody has not only a phone and an identity and a bank account, but everybody has their own AI agent. So I really want you to think through what the DPI for AI agents could look like, especially in a country like India, and a lot of entrepreneurs and investors from US will be tapping into this emerging opportunity. Just as Aadhaar and UPI unleashed, billions of dollars of new economic value that was unlocked, that was leashed. And when that was unleashed, it allowed us to create many new entrepreneurs, many new investors, many new organizations, and also make them, a massive social impact. So think of NANDA as building a quilt in a post-AI world, much as the internet back then was kind of the post-PC world. Of course, we continue to build the PCs and mainframes after that, even today, but we moved to our focus to networking those pieces. And the same thing is happening now. So, there are many building blocks of this quilt, and each of them have different choke points, different challenges. So foundation and trust is about, we need DNS registries for these billions of agents. We need to have identity. We need to have reputation. We need to have authentication. That's all in the trust and foundation framework, much like you have for Aadhaar. Then you have the orchestration there. And if you're familiar with A2A and MCP from Google and Anthropic, respectively, they're making some initial progress in this field, but already picking up a lot of momentum. Google I/O is on Monday, so you'll hear a lot about it. And then Microsoft Build is a couple of days later in this coming week. So you hear a lot about A2A and MCP in this coming week. But we're to go well beyond that. Then there's the transaction layer. And most people think of transactions between agents as just data and economy, but they will also be worried about transacting, in intelligence. So I might go to Ganuji and say, Ganuji, actually, I want 1 kilogram of intelligence from your, Mr. Anand Ganu agent. And he'll say, okay, sure. So suddenly 3 questions come up, like what does it mean to buy 1 kilogram of intelligence from Ganuji? Second is, what's the price for it? And second is, 1 kilogram of intelligence from Ganuji, who's world famous, is a lot. So does it mean I have rights to his intelligence and I can do anything I want with it? Or it's more like, DRM, digital right management, where I have right to purchase music, but I cannot do anything else with it. I can only listen to it. So the knowledge pricing, the agentic economy is a massive opportunity, and I would love to collaborate with many of you. We are writing a lot of papers, a lot of investors are working with us. So we would love to have you as part of this community that's thinking about it. And as I said, when it comes to DPI, thinking like a digital public infrastructure, there's a massive opportunity. So, we'll work with the Garje Marathi platform to see how the thought leadership in this space can also transfer to, some amazing things. The next part is marketplaces. As you can see, the S is in plural here. So if you think about the World Wide Web, freedom fighters like Tim Berners-Lee and Vint Cerf and so on, they made sure that we have the freedom on the internet of web pages, and it's an open, vibrant web. That didn't happen for mobile phones, unfortunately. We have only 2 marketplaces, 2 Play Stores and App Stores, and they're not compatible. And, they provide a lot of security, a lot of convenience for us to have App Stores and Play Stores, but also it stifles innovation. We still haven't seen an amazing, a medical device that has emerged on a mobile phone, right? So the innovation is stifled. So think of Nanda as the blue fabric that puts, all of these pieces together. Now, inside each of these boxes, there are already dozens of companies. Some of them worth billions of dollars. So the role of Nanda is not really to go and invent each of these boxes. So we are not here to, build more agents, build for more identity layers and so on. But the goal here is to really think through, how do we create these patches? How do we create this fabric that connects all these layers, right? And as you can see, there's this blue patch in this quilt that will connect to, the Nanda quilt, right? So that's the mental model. Just to briefly about A2A and MCP. MCP is from Anthropic that allows any agent to talk to a tool, but A2A is about 2 agents connecting to each other. So this is great. But we have to go beyond communication and support discovery, search, authentication, and trace, and so on. And this is what my group at MIT has been working on for more than 10 years. We feel very excited that some of this research is coming together. At the same time, it's also an opportunity for us to think through how this will go forward. One of the most common questions is how do you keep it neutral? And just as the original internet had 3 nodes, it was UCLA, UCSB, and SRI. We need, these universities to be the neutral player in managing the Nanda district. Again, there's no such thing as a protocol or a standard. Nobody cares about that anymore. So the only standard that's out there is a good implementation. So that's why if you go to nanda.mit.edu, you will see the code, the registry, the client, the server, everything has already been launched. And this week, actually, on Tuesday, we'll also launch ability for you, a consumer, to become an agent and start interacting with any other agent, no matter what platform you're on, whether inside Salesforce or Copilot or a Web3 player. you can still communicate with all these agents. So it's a very exciting time to do that. So go play it on nanda.mit.edu. And as I said, I won't go to the details, but all these things are already built as a prototype. So we're working with many partners, many Fortune 500 companies like Dell and HP and Akamai and HCL and many others, Oak Ridge National Labs, and so on. And they're all prototyping, demoing, writing papers with us, writing code with us, and so on. So we would love to have you on this platform. Not many services have been launched. This is a wide selection of them. And I said you can go play with this. So how you can participate? If you're a neutral entity, like a national lab or university, you can host DNS-like registry of NANDA, which will be, remember, billion long. You can, if you have a startup, you can launch with us. We will give you, a lot of visibility. At the same time, your engineers will have a pretty good idea of how to create, agentic web. So you can participate with us. You can participate in the open source. You can participate as a player without contributing to open source, but we encourage you to do that. And then more recently, we started a conversation about India DPI and NANDA, and and we're working with Raskar, who recently led the India mission. And the question really is, will India lead the way in creating an open, vibrant infrastructure for the Internet of AI agents? The web is transforming from connecting humans to information to connecting humans to autonomous agents. And are we ready? And just as we couldn't build broadband internet on dial-up infrastructure, the agentic web demands a new infrastructure beyond the current DNS. And India has done this really well with DPI. And through leadership via Garje Marathi and Ganuji, will we be able to do this in a formative way? So I'd like to open it up for Q&A, and we can go from there. And while you're at it, I encourage all of you to go to this website, tiny.cc/nanda9, which is a LinkedIn page, and talk about your own project, talk about yourself, talk about you liked, and so on. So I'll I'll open it up for Q&A. And I know Anand Joshi is having trouble with his internet, so I'm happy to kind of read through the questions and try to answer them. Thank you.
But I'm here. Hopefully, you're able to hear me better now because I switched my internet connection. Okay. Some problems have to be solved old-fashioned way, which involves resetting a computer. So fantastic presentation and initiative, Ramesh, as always. I've been following you for, I don't know, since you started talking about decentralized agents in NANDA. And let me start with a couple of questions and we'll let audience chime in. When we talked last time, you mentioned there are some students, some prototypes ready. Could you just sort of give an overview of one or two prototypes that you think are promising based on what you've seen so far? And so just audience gets an idea how to use this framework and start building their applications.
Absolutely. I think if I'll just walk you through a few of these. Let me see if I can show my screen. All right. So as you can see, if you go to the GitHub for the website nanda.mit.edu, you'll see there's a lot of work that's already gone in, the ecosystems and so on. There's 15 universities all over the world. If you're working, if you're planning to build something, you can go to all the NANDA servers, our GitHub page. All these companies here that you see that have original launch MCP servers can now launch on the NANDA platform, right? So hyperscale, geolocation, and so on. So many of these players are already there, so you can play with that. If you go to NANDA registry, you'll see many of these companies and startups, have already launched, right? That you can see here. So Hexagon, you're just talking about them. WhatsApp and so on. So many of these players are already testing their solutions, health insurance, anything that's kind of suitable for agents. is that let me see if I can find companies like Mitsubishi Electric that have launched kind of inventory solutions and so there are many players like that that have already launched solutions here.
Yep.
And it will be amazing for many of you to also do that. So various companies, various players, that are working on this.
Yeah, very
So
interesting.
there's like Tech, for example, and so on.
So there is a question here from Salil Kadam. He's asking, how do you see it being different from MCP?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if you think about MCP, first of all, it's solving, MCP and so on are solving only communication problem, right? But it's not solving everything else around it, So it's like saying if I've connected a website, if I connected my browser to a website, what protocol should I use? And that's HTTP. So A2A and MCP are solving the HTTP problem. In case of MCP, it's solving the HTTP problem between the agent and local resources, which could be a database, your other tools, other APIs and so on. And then A2A is about connecting to agents. So again, I think A2A and MCP are in this box here in the communication, but we have to solve everything else. So the agentic economy, for example, is not supported by them. If you think about the phone book, what's the phone book? If there are a billion agents, and I say, hey, I want to find the best insurance AI agent, who should I call? That problem is not solved, right? So if you go to Yellow Pages, you can look up the insurance Yellow Pages. Those of you who are old enough to use Yellow Pages, and they can find to the insurance agents and see what we can do. Or if you're on White Pages, you can just, if you know the name of the insurance player, whatever, Cambridge Insurance, you can go to CA and you can find the Cambridge Insurance and dial that number. The same thing with agents. If you have billions of agents, how are you going to have that? So the problem is, the way it's solved for websites right now is you have a DNS registry. I can just type cambridgeinsurance.com and it'll automatically take you to the right website. But we need the same way to do that for the internet. So everything that we do on the internet today has to be upgraded to support the agentic internet.
So while we are talking about upgrade, I have a question on the rightmost box here, the compute. Clearly, the current compute model, it's, in my opinion, is very sort of incomplete, right? All the intelligence is just in one location, which is GPUs. I guess intuition would be that you would need a lot of changes on the compute fabric also, right? Do you have any views on that?
Oh, absolutely. So I think the way to think about this is, let me see if I can bring up my, okay. Here are the major assumptions that you have to make. The very second one here, Anand, is that just as in the 80s, internet was about connecting mainframes to dumb machines through dial-up modem. When the momentum shifted from mainframes to PCs, everything changed, right? When the compute moved to the edge, and we can write your own word and calculate everything on our PC, everything changed. Same thing is happening now. Right now, when we think about AI, is the big companies providing tools for us. But as AI moves to the edge, on your PC, your laptop, your microwave, your thermometer, your car, your medical device, your IoT devices, your 5G routers, as the compute moves to the edge, and if machine learning training and inference happens on the edge, we don't need the mainframe computers. We don't need the data centers. So that is a big shift. When agents operate where they need at the edges, suddenly we need to start thinking about the Internet of AI agents, right? And the same thing, because of the AI moving to the edge, they also have location. So one day I'm in California, the next day I'm in Boston, the third day I'm in Mumbai, right? So the endpoints of your agents are also changing. So unlike a website that stays in one location, its IP address or endpoint remains in one location, you have to constantly shift your endpoints, which means that, just as for calling a landline, you could just dial the number and the landline company will connect you to the landline phone. If I call somebody on the phone, a lot of algorithmic work happens behind the scenes because, as I said, one day I'm in California, next day I'm in Boston, next day I'm in Mumbai. How do you make sure that when I call this person, when Ganuji calls me, how does the phone actually reach me? He calls my phone number. How does the system know that I am today in Boston and now I'm in Mumbai? And there's a very amazing system that works in the telecom world to keep track of where is my phone. And the same thing has to happen for agents. As the agents move around, and some of you who come from the IoT world will know this very well, because there's something called Azure, IoT web. And the same thing here. You need to update this lookup tables in real time. But if you have billions of these agents, maybe trillions, who are paying almost nothing per day, unless you're paying $50 per month, right, for our phone carrier. But these AI agents are not going to pay $50 a month. So how do you keep them updated and refreshed and bring the latency down to 50 milliseconds and keep their performance running is a massive multi-billion-dollar opportunity right there. So again, it could happen the way it happened with in the US and the big tech players dominate and there's not much space for investors and startups. Or countries like India can show the way by making this part of a digital public infrastructure, and so that startups, investors, even states can build something at a much lower cost than having to spend billions of dollars to duke it out and see which solution wins.
Yeah, yeah. Very, very fascinating. It almost seems like 1999 all over again. That's when we were, in the same situation, but the target was the World Wide Web. Right now, it seems like it's agentic AI is the new World Wide Web.
I would call it more like 93, 94. And Ganuji and I are here as wise people that when Netscape was coming around, Internet Explorer was coming around, about 94 to 98, a lot of amazing companies emerged, a lot of amazing research happened. I would not compare with 99 because that sounds like a dot-com crash.
Yeah, that's right. Be optimistic.
It's more like 94 than 99.
That's right.
What do you think, Ganuji?
Yeah. So there is a question from Krish Das Gupta. How is NANDA different from current MCP registries? And I think you answered part of this.
Right.
And then the other part is that so apparently MCP servers can be retrieved via REST API and they can hold metadata, right? So he's asking how is this different from that?
Yeah. So everything here builds on top of a MCP and HTTP and A2A, as you can see. And maybe I can explain that with a very nice, very simple use case. So I have a teenage daughter, and talking to my teenage daughter is a conversation that lasts no more than 30 seconds, because every conversation after that just explodes, right? And but the way we can make it happen is my AI agent can talk to my daughter's AI agent, right? And my AI agent will say, my daughter's agent AI will say, I want to go see a movie this weekend. And I might say, oh, you know what? That's not a good idea. And the conversation just, explodes after that. But what could happen in this case is, let's see if it works. Okay. So, my daughter says, Dad, can I go watch a movie tonight? And it comes to me not as this raw text, but comes to me as a much cleaner text, as if she had a coach. She says, Dear Daddy, I would like to request permission to see a movie this evening. Let me know if they're totally all right. It's like, okay, that's a good start. She's at least, being respectful. And my answer to her is going to be, let's see, right? Say, no, Mary, you have an important exam coming up, so it won't work. But what the AI agent will tell her is like, no, actually, so I will say, no, Mary, you have an exam, but, what the agent will tell her is, Mary, I'm concerned about your upcoming exam, which seems quite important. I really encourage you to focus on your studies. I want you to succeed. Is there anything I can do to make, your preparation more effective, right? And on and on and on, right? So you can imagine this can bring peace to a lot of families in the world. But at the same time, this can also be a customer agent, right? So let's say, Adam tells his local bakery, local coffee shop, and he says, hey, local bakery shop, can I have my usual cake order for my daughter's party? And the agent at the bakery, they don't know who this is. Like, who's this person? What's their usual bakery? And so the Moon Bakery agent says, okay, let me look up who this guy is and what's his usual order. Okay. And what does he usually order? And then it says, oh, looks like it's coming from Adam, who's a regular customer, and he likes chocolate caramel cake, but unfortunately we're out of ingredients for chocolate caramel cake. Let's see if he's okay with a strawberry cake instead, right? AI agent does all this work, and then the representative from the bakery, who's working, getting minimum wage, suddenly starts looking very, very sophisticated, right? And the AI agent says, okay, let me see what you can tell, this Adam, your customer, and they can just take this information and send it back. So think of this as a kind of a customer to business interaction through kind of a customer agent, but in reality, both parties are getting a lot of value because they're taking, minimum wage paid representative at the bakery, and as if they can talk, as the owner, and has a lot of insights in how this works. And again, the picture I want to draw here is this one, which is that the NANDA registry, quilt of registries, is the agent router. And once the connection is established, then you can use A2A, and then the bakery can use MCP to look up its inventory and so on, right? So again, the quilt of registries, NANDA works on top of all these protocols, and there'll be more coming up. Just Coinbase just released X.402, which is for transactions using USDC. So that will also be part of this. And again, this is something that I keep coming back to DPI. This has to be built in an open, vibrant way so that every other business can build services on top of this. So Ganuji, my request is to be our leader in taking these initiatives forward so that it's available as a public good.
So there is another question from Krish. He's asking about the security, and that question also has popped in my mind. How does one ensure that the agent you're talking to is not fake, or you're not being routed to some dead person or whatever?
Yeah. It's good to look at how Salesforce is thinking about it, right? So if you think about Salesforce Agent Force, they have this walled garden, and they make sure security, privacy, governance, GDPR, all those things are very carefully taken care of, right? But the problem for them is, how do they talk to another agent that's like a Crew AI agent or a Google agent outside? And right now they have this simplistic diagram that says, oh, we'll just talk through A2A, right? By the way, these agents will talk to their tools through the MCP servers, which is all good. Now, if you stay within the Salesforce ecosystem, which is like MuleSoft and Heroku and so on, they know how to do this very well. The question is, how do they do it outside, right? So if you have a bakery company that's sitting and has their own simple SQL database, and they want to make it available to somebody else's agent, how will the agent force call this, very simple agent for the bakery, right? And that's where everything kind of falls apart to support the overall internet of AI agents. And that's when you need systems like this, right? So the assumption is that the agents themselves will take care of the security, the agent stores run by companies like, Salesforce and Microsoft and Crew AI and so on, will be responsible for their own security and privacy and governance. And these external layers, will take care of orchestration. And then again, going back to this, just as in Aadhaar and UPI, you have external authentication and certification. NANDA supports those authentication and reputation. So just kind of going into a little bit of a technical detail here. You would and Mahesh Lambe is here from our team, so he can also talk about this. Mahesh, do you want to talk about this for a second? About the how we think about the privacy and security.
Yeah, sure. So basically, we are proposing a protocol, like at the foundational layer, uh, like we have a 3-layer architecture, like where we say we have a registry layer where we handle like more like a mapping between the agent, like how our traditional DNS system works, but beyond that, like how these agents will be a part of a registry, like in a decentralized world. Then on top of it, we have an agent facts layer, like where we have uh, it kind of like how you carry like agent card in an A2A system, but agent facts contains more metadata, like information or a self information about uh, the agent itself, like that itself declared, and it could be dynamically updated as well, like what kind of a functionality it carries. So that kind of a schema had been designed as a part of the research paper that we have. And then we have on top of it a dynamic resolution layer. So in a real world, like when the request comes in, so if we, Ramesh, if you can go back to the, the previous diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So not the architecture one, the actual dynamic resolution layer. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you see right in this diagram, basically there could be agent to agent communication can happen within a secured, a managed environment, you can say, like where endpoint is static, like we have the agent facts host carrying all the information and metadata about the agent itself. And then cross agent communication, when we talk like, okay, now my managed environment is talking to another managed environment, basically then we have to understand that like now we are crossing the trust boundary, like so whatever the threat model that we can have, so I'm crossing my trusted boundaries with another agent, so that had its own agent facts information. And if you see, the adaptive router basically is kind of a two-hop solution. So your front end, like when the request first hit across the boundaries, like it will be a static URL, like it contains a very high level information about the agent. And behind that, like it's a job of the router basically to actually reach out to the endpoint, like which could be dynamic, like, and that's where all the handshake, like, or all the TTL, like all the trust evaluation telemetry, which is a dynamic piece of it. So we are kind of proposing a two-hop solution, more like if you see in this diagram, like dynamic resolution or adaptive routing, and it can support a multiple endpoints eventually, so that we can think beyond DNS, like in a nutshell, that like billions of agents, if you're talking to each other, like without disrupting their core framework, like without crossing that. Does it clarifies, Ramesh, you want to add anything on top of it? I know I was just trying to summarize it in a as simple as possible, but would be happy to discuss it further as well. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sure.
So there is actually a related question to this from
Sure.
Pranav. He's asking that as we move towards decentralized AI, the challenge is to apply machine learning to encrypted or private data without exposing any sensitive information. And he's curious to get your views on some of the solutions that he has seen. They talk about federated learning versus multi-party computation, which is secure, differential privacy, so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very critical to think about this ideas. And this is my research at MIT for a very long time about how do we do privacy preserving machine learning, right? So I think it's critical to think about that. So kind of privacy preserving machine learning across data silos. There's certain ideas that continue to make sense, but certain ideas don't. So for example, if you think about federated learning, which is kind of a go-to method for many companies, it doesn't really work in the agentic framework, because if you have a 100 billion parameter model or even a 10 billion parameter model, you're not going to send it back and forth like you do in federated learning. What you would like to do is use something that behaves more like a client server, aspect of it. And so we invented something called split learning, like splitting a model. And we did that in 2017, about 9 years ago, 8, 9 years ago. And those are the kind of methods that are actually going to survive going forward. So a lot of mental models you might have about, secure multi-party computation, federated learning, differential privacy are actually not compatible with privacy-preserved machine learning when it comes to agentic AI. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be a very exciting time. There'll be a lot of secure enclaves on agents. So as you know, the latest Blackwell chips actually support secure enclaves on chips. And I would imagine future chips that Anand Doshi was talking about in the beginning will also support secure enclaves on the edge devices, Samba Nova, Cerebras, and others. So I think those are the ways we'll see privacy evolve, just in my humble opinion, as opposed to federated learning.
Can you comment on the marketplace design and what particular the industry solutions can be put in? I think that's one good way where really can the adoption and some of the leaders can emerge, for example, if they see the right solutions.
Yeah. I think I'm really glad you mentioned, because for many people on this call, I'm guessing a lot of founders, investors on this call, I think one of the biggest opportunities is actually the marketplaces. Let me see if I can show the slide again one more time. Yeah. And these marketplaces will be agentic. Think of them as app stores, but for agents, right? So again, I hope there'll be dozens, maybe hundreds of such agent stores. It will be disappointing if there are only 2 agent stores, because that will be, create a friction. But imagine if you're a company that wants to just create an app store for health agents, okay, yeah. Agent store just for health agents. And then running this marketplace can, have expertise in creating, HIPAA compliant agents. You have relationship with hospitals and medical systems. You can create a consortium of insurance players and, consumer players and so on. So there should be a really amazing marketplace for just health AI agents. And then anybody who's thinking of launching a health agent will come to you saying, hey, listen, you guys make my life very easy. Just the same way today, if you were to launch an app on Apple App Store, they take care of a lot of the complexity. They have good SDKs, they have good security protocols. They, of course, have a discovery mechanism. They can validate your code. They can, certify your privacy protocols. All the things are taken care of. So the App Store can just makes it easy for you to launch your app. Similarly, agent stores like these will emerge. So again, I hope that this happens as a digital public infrastructure. And somebody can create a company that helps other people create agent stores. So you're not running an agent store, but you're creating a platform to launch agent stores. So again, there are multiple billion-dollar ideas right here. If anybody wants to explore that, we Mahesh and others actually going to run some events in coming weeks on NANDA for investors and startups to brainstorm together, what these business ideas would be. And Ganuji, we would love to have you, as part of this effort. I think it's a really unique opportunity for a country like India and state like Maharashtra, because the previous ARAs was all about massive investments, billions of dollars in investments in data centers and training models and so on. And that's kind of raced to the bottom. The cost of LLMs per token has come down by a factor of 100, actually 150 in the last 2 years. So race to the bottom. So it really doesn't make sense for Maharashtra to go and build another language model, another foundation model. There's no money left in that. But building this ecosystem requires almost nothing. It's like creating another incubator. It's like creating another venture fund. It's like creating, another ecosystem. But we need leaders, we need organizations like Garje Marathi to say, hey, we will make it happen. And this is actually very low cost because it's mostly orchestration of different players and bring them on a common platform. And so some of the conversations I've had in India with government leaders are also along these lines. And we're also having conversation with other countries right now, other developing countries right now. And they're realizing that to really build, a very thriving entrepreneurial and commercial ecosystem in a post-AI world, right? We are in the post-AI world. this quilt is the most important thing. So absolutely, I think there's a lot of opportunities here to get going. I can write down 20 business plans right now for you, each worth billions of dollars, but they will thrive, they will survive only if somebody else creates this quilt, so that the cost of creating any one of those businesses actually is much lower, and there's a capital efficiency and go to market will be sufficiently efficient.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
What do you think, Ganuji, about this?
Sir, you have put an enormous responsibility on my shoulder. I would, I would definitely have a meeting one-to-one with you to understand how what I can do in this. You are always amazing. As a matter of fact, because we are in a professional meeting, I'm not going to do that. Otherwise, I would have been, flashing my photo with you on the social media that I'm connected with Dr. Ramesh Raskar. So we will do this together. I'll try to understand my role, and we have a very, very enthusiastic and great achieving a great knowledge. My team, Maharashtra Accelerator for Artificial Intelligence, so we'll take their help also, and we will see that Maharashtra and in turn our nation as well as the world gets benefited from your intellect and your network. You are amazing team always. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you. No, actually, very interestingly, we started looking at it 8 weeks back, Dr. Raskar, just from the health and life sciences perspective at NANDA. So I didn't even know actually, and I know Anand, we go long back, but I did not know NANDA was part of this. So I started 8 weeks back, exactly the effort. So I'll be love to connect with you separately, and then we can. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I think we are on a nearly hour. Anand or somebody from
we have a couple more questions. Let's
okay.
go.
Okay.
Abhi's while these questions are coming up, I just reposted Ganuji's LinkedIn post, and I think we need the Garje Marathi and Nanda and other efforts like this amplified. So if you can just click on this link I posted on chat, and then in the comment section, write whatever your thoughts are. Doesn't matter what it is. You can even say, Ramesh doesn't know what he's talking about. This will never go anywhere. Anything you say is good, because any engagement is good. So feel free to type that, repost, talk about all the good work that Anand Ganuji and Anand Joshi are doing here. They're putting a lot of their own personal time to bring this community together. People like Mahesh Lambe. By the way, Ganuji, I met Mahesh at Garje Marathi 2 years ago.
Okay.
So,
See, in your enormous world, my little contribution.
Exactly. So some of the team members on Nanda actually met originally at the Garje Marathi event.
Thank you, sir.
Mahesh's Marathi is much better than my Marathi, so I can speak in English. But,
it doesn't matter. Language is just a means of communication. It makes no difference.
But आपण थोडं मराठीत बोलू.
नाही चालेल. Actually, in the beginning, I told Anand Joshi that stick to English, because there are people beyond Marathi also in the meeting. So we have to be, courteous to them. So
anyway, I strongly recommend everybody to reshare, repost, write your comments. Also talk about your own project. Just say, hey, my company is doing this, or I'm an investor of this. I'm looking for this. So use the comment section of this post and say whatever you want. Go ahead, Anand.
Yeah.
So we got about 10 minutes left, so we'll go through a couple more questions before we end. So Abhi's asking if a rating system can be added to agents in your registries. I guess that would be very relevant to marketplace. But yeah, over to you, Ramesh.
Yeah. That's a great question. So if you think about reputation, ratings, so there are 3 or 4 components to kind of authentication, security, and reputation, right? So of course there is authentication, like are you a real agent of who you claim? Then you need certifying agencies that will certify you, saying, hey, you're actually running a 10 billion parameter model, or you're actually capable of serving, health advice or health guidance. So there needs to be organizations that emerge for authentication and certification. But beyond that, there's also reputation. So today you can go on Yelp and rate, your restaurant, but it's a pretty messy process, because often people go to a restaurant and rank it lower, not because the food is not great, but because they didn't find good parking, right? And so the human rating system is actually pretty messy, but algorithmically, I think the agent to agent ratings will be much more algorithmic, much more technical, so they can move to the infrastructure layer, much like the credit scores, your FICO score is algorithmic score that has moved to the infrastructure layer. When you go for mortgage, anybody can look up your FICO score and it's algorithmic. It's not based on some random parameters. And the same thing is going to happen here. So anyway, but there are again multiple billion-dollar businesses that are going to emerge for reputation, like the Yelp of agents.
Very, very interesting. So Chirag is asking if there is a single agent that gives the solution, is there a network of agent that gives you a solution?
Very, very good. So I think we are beyond the world of what I would call brute force AI, right? The brute force AI is what you see on the horizontal axis here, where we're spending billions of dollars training large models and hoping, intelligence will emerge. But I think, and we have been saying this for almost 10 years in my group now, is that the right way to create intelligence actually create really small agents and let them talk to each other. Just the same way when babies are born, they're, simple agents. And as they interact with each other, they learn from each other from a reinforcement learning point of view. They're learning not from data, but they're learning from experiences and interactions. And I think the red line here is the right way to go, as opposed to the gray line here. And again, going back to this Venuji, I think if we can create, millions of such agents in low-cost ecosystems, they will create actually emergent global AI much faster than trying to create, investing billions of dollars in highly centralized AI systems.
Interesting. So Ram is asking if NANDA can use the existing web infrastructure for trust, or do you have to build a new one or modify?
Yeah. So we have a whole paper on this called Upgrade or Switch. Should we just upgrade the existing web infrastructure or not? And again, you're welcome to join our papers so for example, we have these papers that are coming up. There are many papers, but this paper most recently will, talk about upgrade or switch. So you should, come join our team. There are authors from many top companies here and so on. And then this talks about should we upgrade or should we switch, right? And people like Mahesh Lambe are also co-authors on this. So we have teams that meet on a regular basis that do this. And then we have other papers that are going to the much more detail, of how we should actually implement this. By the way, all of this will be coming out as working solutions in the next 3 days. On this Tuesday, I'll be launching all of this as working code. And this goes into all the details of how the protocol will look like, what are the challenges, whether we can use existing architecture and so on. But I think the overall point for this conversation is that if you take the current web architecture, it simply cannot support the trillions of agents that are out there. And this is again the DPI notion of DPI comes in.
Yeah. Interesting. So we'll take one more question. It's from Mahadev here. He's asking if the agents pose threat to the future business innovation and unique value proposition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think everybody has made a big hype about AI, and that's nothing compared to how the disruption is going to come because of the internet of AI, right? So having PC was important in the 80s to way companies, all businesses do their operations, but the internet of those PCs completely changed it. And the same is going to be true now. So it's very, very critical for you to experiment. Even if you cannot launch something today, it's important to experiment, learn about it. If you're an investor, start thinking about how this will impact your portfolios. If you're a startup, think about the post-AI world. If you're a government, stop investing in what has already happened and start investing in where this needs to go forward, and so on. I think this is going to be extremely disruptive. And another way to think about this, Anand, is that a lot of the hype and confusion about AGI kind of goes away, because now we're talking about the network of AI agents as opposed to creating this one monolithic, massive AI that behave like an AGI, right? And actually, the notion of network AI is almost an antidote to an AGI, because if you think about a God-like behavior from AGI, which is like it's omnipresent, omnipotent, it's not possible because if you have siloed data at a specific business, the AGI, the super intelligence, doesn't know a simple SQL database that's sitting in your business. So it has no power over you as such, right? And so the networked AI is almost an antidote to AGI.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very powerful vision, Ramesh. I can just imagine, a world where multiple agents are talking to each other in this, in 10 years from now or 20 years, whatever that may be. But I'm also sensing that everything underneath will have to change. Your whole network, topology, connectivity, protocol, your servers, server connectivity, your intelligence, location of intention, you can just go on and on. I mean, this will be a very fundamental change the way I see it, in the future, whenever that is there. So any final thoughts before we conclude?
I just want to make sure that everybody has reshared and reposted under this LinkedIn,
Yes.
thing, because it's critical for us to, get the message out. I see how many do I see right now? I see.
I actually raised the hand and got it down. Ramesh, I have one question, one suggestion.
I see only one comment so far. So let's make sure everybody does it.
Yeah. From this presentation, we'll get the PowerPoint presentation. Can we get it separately?
Yes, we can send it.
Yeah. And from your speech with the transcription, can we create a PDF or a small ebook on your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. I will share it with you before publicizing, but with your that so that it is easy for people to browse through also. So we'll make that. Yeah. Anand Joshi, we can conclude. We are on the hour. Time is of great essence. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are done here. So thanks, Ramesh, for joining us. Great initiative, great vision. We look forward to more things happening in the future. Thank you, Garje Marathi, for hosting us. Thank you, everybody, for joining and good questions. We'll be back with more such events in the future. So stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.